Hello, all you magical beings. I'm going to show you how I make music at home, specifically how I created Tippy Toes in one weekend sitting at home here in my studio basement studio, whatever. So let's go through the song Hunger Pains, all right? This is pro level screen capturing here. What I do and what I did this time around and what I usually do is, well, first off, I record through Adobe Audition. Why do I do this when I can just single out those tracks anyway? Because I originally when I started making music, it was through Cool Edit Pro because that's what my friend used. So when I eventually got around to having a computer which could run things, I wanted Cool Edit Pro as well because I'd seen him use that, so I was a little familiar with it and I've stuck with it since. I've never had the need to change to anything else because I don't use plugins. I don't use grids. That's it. So what I do is, for example, for Hunger Pains, I had the idea for the intro riff, and I came up with it when I took a break from making the previous track, or after making the previous track, and I went up to make some spaghetti. We grabbed the acoustic, played this thing on it. This is not the acoustic, by the way, but I came up with this opening riff. So I came back down, I picked the tempo, put it on the metronome, counted myself in, and then recorded it. And then recorded up till this part, that guitar. Then I recorded another guitar part, and so I haven't done this before, I don't think, that where I just have one hard left pan guitar and one hard right pan guitar and nothing in the middle. I sometimes, or I tend to do that, which is I have hard left, hard right, and then I have like sort of a glue one in the middle, which is quieter, but just to fill it up. But this time I left it out because I was like, man, I get the sonic intent already with just like hard left, hard right. And then I want the stuff that's in the middle, I want that to be its own stuff. I don't need guitars all over, all right? So essentially I just played the same thing twice, pan, and then as I was recording this song, I was writing it as I was going through it. So once I got that far, I was like, okay, so where do I go from here? Okay. Some more of that, okay, and then we get this part. Yeah, all right, and then we go here, and then we have this bridge part. And then at the end, I wanted this dumb rock part. And I wanted a dumb guitar solo to fit it. So I recorded a couple of guitar solos, and then I comped, or whatever you want to call this. I recorded half the solo in one take and then the other half in another take. Right. And then when I had this done, I bounced these guitar tracks into one file, and then I went into my my drumming session, which is, I think it's like, let's see, how long is this session altogether? It's 15 hours long, as you can see. Oh man, it's just like, here's just tracks after tracks after tracks that I've played along to and recorded like drums to, like the Smashing Pumpkins, Primus, stuff like that, and then I delete stuff, and then eventually I find places which are like uninhabited. Skyrim. Where the heck was I? Here. Okay, so, and then so what I then did was I had the guitar parts I just showed you, which I had recorded. I put them on through my phone into my Bluetooth earbuds, and then I just pressed play on my phone after pressing record in this session. So I have my drums mapped to the tracks readily as so: kick, snare, overhead left, overhead right, Tom 1, 2, 3, room. And yeah, and here you can see I started recording to Hunger Pains, and then I thought it sucked or something, so I stopped, and then I started again, like so. So this is all one continuous long take, as you can see. There's no grid. There's nothing's been edited out, nothing's been edited in, there's no punch-ins, there's no quantization, no nothing. Eventually, this take wasn't good either, so I just stopped. Yeah, and then apparently third time was the charm, because the third time I started playing along to this song, it was a keeper. So I really want to emphasize the fact that what you hear on the Frans Tippy Toes is 100% of what went on in the room as I was sitting here recording drums. All of it is in one take. It's all what you see is what you get, okay? And I can't stress enough how valuable that feels to me, because I know that this is something that actually happened in this room while I was sitting here. I actually did this. I haven't nudged a single kick drum note anywhere. I haven't been like, this take was good, let's put these together. No. I take great pride in this, because this is definitely a vanishing skill. Being able to sit down and just play through an entire take with confidence, making it sound good, mixing your own playing as you're playing, meaning that you think of dynamics as you're playing, which directly contributes to how confident your playing sounds, what you choose to play on the fly, because you know that the stakes are high. If you do a good job or even great job this far, and then you feel like you want to attempt some crazy flourish here near the end, if you mess up that flourish or drop a stick or whatever, end up out of time, all of this was for nothing, and you'll have to do it all over again, and it might never be good again. It might never be as good as the take you just fucked up while you attempted your little moment there. So you have to just be smart with your playing, not overplay. And just the adrenaline that you get through, like going through a drum track like this, it just, I don't know, it contributes so much to making a good drum track, which keeps you from overplaying, over attempting thing, and just making it sound great. So, okay. So once I have this drum track recorded, I bounced all the tracks down to this track. Put on just some simple compression here. Where is that track even here? Yeah, there's one set of just a little bit of compression here. There's one gorgeous bell hit that I don't know even which symbol it was. It's just wonderful. Is it maybe here? Okay, coming up now, this bell hit. I don't know which symbol that is. It's lovely. And in the finished song, it sounds like a piece of crystal just cutting through. So then I exported this drum track, dropped it into this session with the guitars, and then I had this. After that, I believe I did the bass, and this time around, bass tracks were sort of a boner to make, because for some reason I couldn't get the bass in tune with the guitars. I think my guitars were out of tune. So then trying to, pro tip, make sure your guitar's out of tune when you do the final tracks if you don't want to redo anything. So the bass is low in the mix, and typically I want the bass to do a lot more than just follow, and then just be like the root note and stuff. But this time it was such a hassle that, it was just, yeah. So I just settled with the bass tracks, just sort of being there and not even being loud or prominent in the mix. I just needed them to be there, and then super uninvented. isolated bass and drum together. It's my favorite sound. Right, and after that, I had the track, and since I started making this song, I had I just knew that I needed like a little ethereal acoustic guitar in there, because I was really thinking of Porcupine Tree, I think. See, I wanted every time we go from that boomer break, in other words, I call this now the boomer break in the song. Down, 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 down. Every time we go from that into this augmented weird chord, I wanted something to launch into that bit so that it isn't that abrupt. I wanted something to sort of, launch into that. So I had the thought of, hey, let's have an acoustic just essentially playing this one chord. But what it primarily does is it does that launching into that section after the boomer break. By doing that. Just a loud clang, arpeggiated picking of that chord. Right? So we get a... Right? Because there's a huge difference in this, between this and this. It brings so much. I'm super happy with it. By the way, check out that bell sound that I mentioned earlier when we were looking at the drum track. I think it's here now, and it sounds amazing in the final mix. Right here. I love that. Where are you? It's great. Okay. And then I had that, and I was like, okay. And then the acoustic thing only happens in the intro and the first verse of the song. And then I thought, okay, I'm not gonna just have it continue for the rest of the song, even when in the consecutive parts where the structure is similar, not identical, but similar. Because I thought, okay, our ears already expect it to be here. So it's a little addition through subtraction, through making this part different from the first time around by removing these things that we just assume would be there, but they're not. Okay, and then came vocals. And apparently I was not feeling very confident about my vocals this time, because I did like one line, and then, I'm actually crazy about, and the vocals were also written and recorded and thought up naturally as I was going along with the song. And what usually happens, and I wish I was better at that, is like it starts off rough, and then I get into the groove later on in the song, and then I start replacing some of these vocal takes, but some of the first ones always end up being the first ones. But I kind of like it because it's like, I don't want it to be too polished, clearly, which is why I make music like this. But yeah. At least these were in one take. I will always be okay. Breathy, of course. Not auto-tuned, of course. I don't know how to do any of that shit. So, I mean... I will always be okay. Comply. there sounds too good to be true. This bit sounds too good to be played live during that one take drumming wonder. Just die! Here. That one. It's like with the panning, I don't know what cymbals I hit, but they're like, it sounds too even. It totally sounds doctored, programmed, fixed. But it's not. It's fucking me playing live. Man, it sounds ridiculous. It sounds like, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like Steve Vai's drum parts when he programs them from like on the Ultrazone. And he's like, yeah, I'll put in 55 cymbals on top of each other and 40 toms and a kick and 33 snares. Because whatever, our drummer has 50 million hands. Oh yeah, great. Anyway, so there's a little insight into how I make music and how I made this phenomenal piece of music called The Frans, Tippy Toes, up on Spotify. Go watch it, go check it out. Thanks, bye. I'll make more. There's my drums, by the way.